Hey, welcome, readers and gamers. I am playing a game called Dagon. Or say so on the screen. Dagon is a faithful interactive interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Okay, so it's like
writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Jesus, okay. Okay. Just straight in. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Okay. Some of the trivia is hidden in order to find some. Okay, focus your eyes and look for the. Okay. So, is it the actual story itself, or is it like a history tour?
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Question now, is that the writer or is that the character?
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
So is that H.P. Lovecraft speaking now? Is he saying that? What's this?
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Okay. Oh, was he in the war? This World War II? Or one?
The Great War was then at its very beginning,
and
the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
The Hun?
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Interesting. Interesting. Nah, let's look at that first. The Huns. The Huns, okay, they were Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe. First piece of trivia. And invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans. In order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on 27th July 1900, before they embarked to China. I don't know if I should. Okay. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. Prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as a thousand years ago, the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves. One that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. Well, they're doing that shit right now. Sucks to be you! Your plan failed! The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of during the first Hague Convention of 1899. Hague? I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay, I see. So it was like a nickname they had for the Germans. Okay, that's never knew that. You can read the discovered trivia. Okay, cool. Little bit of history there. Very interesting.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone, in a small boat, with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Jesus. Let's just speed it up again, go to the next one. No more trivia? Okay.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Yeah, bro, you're in the middle of fucking nowhere. What if there's a storm or something like that? Look at this rickety piece of shit. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine how cold it must be as well?
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Somewhere south of the equator. That could be anywhere.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Yeah. Start rowing. Start rowing. Start rowing. Oh, I have to look at the sun. Can I look around? Nothing else? Is that the moon or the sun?
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Yeah, you're somewhere close to Africa. Scorching sun? Yeah, I know where you are. You know, where do I click? Where do I click? Oh, just... Anyway. No, it's over there now. Look at the sun. Look at the sun. It's actually really pretty. Terrifying to think that that's just nothing but water. Water for like kilometers until you reach the ocean bed. Fucking hell, I've had nightmares about shit like this. And then you start drifting towards it, and then you see an iceberg, and you're like, well, no. Ever had one of those dreams?
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Oh, so my man's just staring at the sky. I thought you had enough water.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know.
What kind of change?
For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Ah, so out adrift at the sea, this is where all the Cthulhu shit came from. That's actually really fucking interesting. If it's true. Like, if...
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Oof.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
So he was describing it, and this is what pretty much people think. Dude was tripping balls. He was dehydrated,
Though
wasn't
one might well imagine that my first sensation would be
Was
of
it
wonder
sunstroke?
at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery. I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
Well, no shit. Who would be astonished by this?
For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
Yeah, it's the motherfucker staring at you right there. Just look at him. The weird tentacles. I don't know how people get turned on by this.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Where in the absolute fuck are you, guy?
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Now this is some fucking eldritch shit.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
God, I love me some of this. Ah, give me more. Show me more eldritch shit. What else did you see? Ah, listen to that squelching.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
You're in the void, buddy. You're in the void.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
I see. Okay. Ah, okay, so everything's like super connected. Okay, it's in nothing. Because it makes sense why Cthulhu's a octopus thingy, because, you know, underwater and all that shit, but this trip he's on. This trip he's on is fucking amazing.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me, that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
So now the land's above the ocean was below the land? What? Wait, the land was below the ocean and now the land's above the ocean. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, this world's been turned upside down, but right side up at the same time. Yes. Yes, HP. Why would you assume the gods are benevolent? Yes, they are cruel.
Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. There's a fish. Can't click on anything else? It was like it was just one flag.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
Okay, so... Huh. I thought it was just regular mud. It's not black mud.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Okay. Where are we gonna go?
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
The stars are back though. It's not as dark as it was. And the moon and the blueness looks nice. But then what's that? Is that the reflection of the moon? Okay. Looks like that's just another...
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
What the fuck is this?
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Well, I mean... Ugh. Ah. Squelch. I thought it was supposed to be dry.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Okay. I guess the higher up we go, the you know, the more we can see. Bird's eye view and all that. What the f... Just random crab leg. Giant crab leg. Something so simple, just something from the, you know, nature, but just...
That night, I
bigger than it should be.
And on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Scarcely nearer. Are you not getting closer to it? Excuse me.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Creepy mountain. Why is he traveling at night? Can you see where you're going?
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Okay.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night. But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake
dream within a dream.
Perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
A dream within a dream.
Of the moon, I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Why?
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
But would you have been able to see where you're going?
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset.
I don't know, man. Maybe the sun was trying to help
Picking
you.
up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Shit. Yeah, that's your pack. I don't know, man. This mountain... Giving me Warhammer 40k vibes.
The unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
Yep.
But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon.
Because it's nighttime.
Whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost.
I just say we wait till the morning, man.
And of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
Ooh, I don't think I've read that one.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
How can you tell? I thought it was supposed to be pitch black. I still say we wait till the morning.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent.
See, that's the trick.
Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Oh, he's actually gonna climb down at night. You dumb mother...
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
What the fuck is that? Why does that look like a rectangle? Do you see that?
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
I don't know, man.
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
I knew there was something there. Creepy fucking... what's it called? The marker? In Dead Space? I'm gonna turn to a fucking necromorph.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
Just a piece of stone? Brother, it is in the middle of this... Oh man, what a
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
No shit!
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Better find a way to express them.
For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young.
See, that's the thing though, right? It's supposed to be like a all-natural environment. Then you have something with straight lines that appears to be man-made, human-made, you know, engineered by people.
I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
But there aren't any people, so who made this fucking monolith? Isn't that something that you should be curious about?
Whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures.
Yep, okay, he is thinking it.
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
What the fuck? It made me jump a little.
Now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm. And revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions, and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Both inscriptions? I don't see any. There seems to be only one thing I can click on in the beginning.
writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me, and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
Yeah, but those are just animals. And weird shapes that I don't call that writing.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Fishes?
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
I was talking about these ones.
But whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
What, the one up there, or which one? Storytelling method, here we go. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals, and character notes. Okay, the Shadow of the Time, the Haunter of the Dark, islands emerging from the okay. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the end. Okay.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs, whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré.
So this isn't H.P. Lovecraft speaking, it's the character in Dagon speaking. This is like what he went through. Like he was a soldier and then he escaped and then he just found himself here. Okay.
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men. Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
What the fuck is that? I can't...
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well.
You mean like
of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
What the fuck is a Poe or a Bulwer?
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background, for one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh, Jesus.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
But the thing is, the water, monolith, they were around water in a monolith. Aren't you worried? Aren't you going to look around your surroundings?
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
Where? Oh, the ripples.
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Jesus!
Fiend-like and low,
Fucking hell.
it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Fucking hell.
Going mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. That thing's behind me, just following me.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
I can't really hear that well. I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. Okay. What a beautiful way to describe a storm.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
I was like, yeah, what the fuck are you talking
Nor
about?
did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Your first thought isn't that you were just tripping, or that you were... nothing? I'm in a San Francisco hospital. There must be some kind of law. Come on. Here we go. Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. In 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literal criticism written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith. Who's Howard? Is that what his name? HP means Howard? Jesus, I never knew that. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticisms to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction, again for the first time since his teenage years. Dagon, published in 1919, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this example excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the Conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm, one or more nations would undoubtedly retain secret armaments and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career of conquest against unarmed victims. No country is or even can be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have... What? Until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. Well, that's kind of dark and grim. I think it's possible. Especially if you hold people accountable. The first person to do that, your country gets fucking sanctioned to hell, bruh. No point in having guns and you know, people have suits of armor or some shit. I don't know, something that, you know, make it a bullet useless. Telekinesis or some shit. Telepathy, read people's minds, know when they're gonna do it. Total Recall that motherfucker.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Ha! A man thought he saw Dagon. Nothing else? Oh, it's just Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquest. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem and an underworld prison water in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that reside in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Okay. So he misinterpreted it as well, and that's why Dagon is a fish god and not a fertility. Was the main deity of the Philistines. And the main deity as well. How do you fuck up the king of the pantheon? What's that? Let's fast forward. Anything else? No man, that can't be it. Can't be one thing at a time. I know there's no progression, there's no whatever, they said that in the beginning, but still.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works. Three's Company, Arkham House. Okay. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he's surrounded by numerous controversies. One of the most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu Mythos. Oh, was a devout Catholic to the he added the good versus evil doctrine to the Cthulhu Mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu Mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Okay, so he had somebody who kind of misinterpreted his work and then wanted to profit off it. Kind of feel bad for him now. But nobody wants that to happen to their work. You know, you want it to... Let's fast forward. Okay. You want it to be digested the way that you put it out there, the way you written it. And you fire, can you... I thought I heard a click. Sorry about that. Thought I heard a click. But anyway, you don't want it to be muddied up. You don't want it to be shat on like modern day media does. What is it? What are we looking at? What the fuck? Why would I face this like there's something here then? Is it just to creep me out? Weird. Because that's where I'm supposed to go. What about this way? Okay, no, it's just nothing. Whole bunch of nothing.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
The thing?
I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Ah, temporary.
So now, I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Aw, don't do it. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco even though he used to smoke when he was 12. Jesus! In order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with friend Reinhard Kleiner, whatever. He claims that he... aren't both of these names in Attack on Titan? Was he named after this guy? He claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. Ha! He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zelia Brown, dated 13th. Okay. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor, and never intend to. So he's tasted non-intoxicating liquor. Having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate natural I don't know how to pronounce that, of the evolved human intellect and imagination, drinking excited by a personal repugnance. Hence I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I am rather in favor of prohibition. Prohibition of any one antisocial force as well as of any other. What the fuck does that mean? Sometimes the way they spoke back then is like, bruh, just... Huh? Sound good, but I don't know what...
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
It could have. I don't think you should end your life for that.
A mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat. After
Told you
my
a sunstroke.
escape from the German man of war.
Yep.
This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply.
Ah.
I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed. Worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind.
So he kind of wants them to.
When the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
What a brilliant little image. Jesus Christ. The fucking dread as well.
The end is near. Does he not hear the squelching? I'm clicking, but nothing's happening. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Oh. Nothing else I can click on? Well, you know, just before great fucking Dagon over here.
It shall not find me.
Sounds like it already has. Or is it the police doing a wellness check?
That hand. The window. The window.
I don't want to see what happens if you don't. Or does my man just jump out the window out of fear? Oh. Oh, yeah, he did. Crazy. So that's the story of Dagon, the book. Free Madness, Escape the Madness. Probably gonna check out the other story times. Very curious to see what they're like. But not now, actually. I'll make it like a...
And scary stories have been accompanying men for centuries. They have many faces and forms. But what is their purpose? Why do we enjoy being afraid so much?
That's actually a very good question.
During our therapy, I'll try to...
Well, if you guys like this kind of stuff, I'll do more, you know, just let me know in the comments if you like little story time mode, story time game, short game, pack the story. I think it was fun. I like it, especially the learning about Lovecraft himself. Kind of puts it all together, makes it all make sense. I wonder if they'll do a one about the King in Yellow, if there's, you know. But anyway, that's all from me. Peace. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. There's no way I missed that many. No. No. Shut the fuck up, I missed this much.